Guys, listen, let's get into it. Special shout out to Mike G, who was a guest on Feinbaum show. The reason why I'm giving you a shout out for that is that's cool. Also, you pissed off
Because
Bammers.
of
So
the
you
reasons.
get a double shout out for pissing off Bammers.
Why were they so angry? All I said was that they suck at recruiting and that Hugh Freeze is taking over this shit. Should they be mad about that? That's all I said, guys.
Is that something to get
Yeah,
upset
that's all I
about?
said. So,
All I said was you suck. What's
yeah,
the problem?
clearly, yeah, it's constructive feedback as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
If you can't
that was
take
my
feedback, you can't grow. So I gave them an opportunity to grow and become better people. Hugh Freeze is killing it at recruiting. Look, man, he jumped his team from like 11 to 13 in recruiting to like 5 to 6 while taking 2 recruits from you. We flipped a guy that flipped to you, that flipped to us, that flipped to you, that flipped back to us. He's done. That's the requisite
Shout out to
amount
the
of flips.
women's gymnastics team for winning gold.
Right, Suni
But
Lee and doing
This
Antonio
message brought to you by
Coleman,
Suni Lee.
right.
So, I mean, look, I
Antonio Coleman definitely could get a gold medal for his
we'll get
acrobatics.
into it, but the gist of the conversation, guys, was there's a lot of excitement around Auburn football, not only for the expected improvement on the field, but recruiting. And for a guy who preached, I think that we need to build this thing from high school. How can you not get excited about him actually doing the thing that he said would improve the program? It's exciting. And I think that the difference between this and other pseudo rated recruiting classes that Auburn had under Gus is these guys feel, don't they? And this is just a feeling completely anecdotal and subjective. That feels like these guys are actually going to be stars. Is anybody sitting here thinking Perry Thompson's going to be a bust? Right? Cam Coleman? I mean, it feels like these guys are already primed and ready to go. And in a couple of years, we'll be talking about them taking over the SEC, man. The talent, you have to be excited about the talent that's coming in. On the last show, we talked about Big Cat being a little anticlimactic. It turns out all the news came after Big Cat. A lot happened after Big Cat. So clearly something happened there that reverberated through college football.
Well, and that's the thing, Mike, because I think it's still happening. I think we're still feeling the effects from what they did. We're not done because, again, Big Cat brought Antonio Coleman isn't the only guy who decommitted from Auburn who was there. You got 4-star linebacker Tyler Lockhart, who committed early in the year, who decommitted but was at Big Cat. And you come back because obviously there's still some interest and the coaching staff still wants you. You got guys like Jared Smith, who's expected to announce this weekend. You have guys like Sam Turner, who was there. Again, Coach Freeze has a type in terms of receiver, and this guy, 6'3", 190, fits the mold of the type of receiver Hugh Freeze wants. He was there. He's looking to make a decision soon. So you have potentially 3 guys in the next several days who could be added to this recruiting class. I would say that Big Cat basically jump-started momentum. I don't know if we've ever seen this type of momentum at Auburn from a recruiting standpoint, guys. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a positive direction that everything is moving in. And when you add to it, kind of hearkening back to what Mike was saying, something we were talking about before we got on, I had an opportunity to talk with our guy Dukes to Scoop and release that earlier. The only 2 guys in the top 10 in the state of Alabama that are not committed to Auburn are both committed to, 3 guys technically, because the other Smith is not currently committed to Auburn, but there is a heavy lean in that direction. If he comes on board, you get 8 of the top 10, and the other 2 guys were both at Big Cat weekend, and there's possibility that they could be coming on board as well. So if you get 10 of the top 10 in the state of Alabama, again,
That's
Bama
insane.
fans, be as upset as you want to about saying that Hugh Freeze has flipped the momentum in the state of Alabama in terms of recruiting, but like how else do you describe
what's
that
interesting
other than a
is
sweep?
Feinbaum brought up it just being July and hey, obviously these July commitments. And I'm just not sure. I think with early signing day for the kids who are going to enroll early, these July commitments actually are meaningful. I do. You don't have an extra 2 months for coaches to try to flip players after the season is done. They've got to focus during the season. They've got to focus on everybody's got to focus on coaching their team. The players are wrapped up in their season, and then once it's over, you maybe have like a week or two
Yeah.
to try to get them before early signing day. So for the kids who are going to sign early and try to get enrolled and get to spring ball, I think July commitments are actually pretty impactful. So I am sort of
Well, so,
excited
I
about
mean,
that.
what I would have asked in retort to that, right? Because you guys know, until they sign, I feel that all of they haven't signed yet, but like not to like when does a commitment become something that's worth, right? Like if he's like, oh, these July commitments, there's so much time. So at what point in time do you say, oh, that commitment means something
I
then?
don't know if he's referring just to signing day. I don't know if that's the argument.
And if that's the argument, I'm completely fine with it. But like to say it doesn't mean anything is a little
Yeah, right. Yeah, I
disingenuous,
mean, it
right?
definitely means something this late in the process. Like camp is getting ready to start tomorrow.
Uh,
You got a commitment this
Right.
week. It's definitely impactful, and you are the presumed front runner. So even if a kid was flip flopping back and forth, July now is pretty late in the process for them to flip back to you. So the kid
Listen,
Antonio Coleman that flipped from Bama, Caesar, like,
yeah,
yeah, he flip flopped a lot, but we're at the end of the process now. Just about, he's about to go play his final season of high school football. So
right.
this last
Yeah.
flip, I think, and I can't imagine while he's finishing up his senior year, it's going to be like, oh, I'm going to Bama again, right? DeBoer is going to be too busy getting his ass handed to him by the rest of the SEC.
Listen,
Yeah,
Ohio
I
State
mean
had
that's the other good point. And sorry to cut you off, C, is that how the season starts for both of these programs, respectively, I think means more for Alabama than it does Auburn in the like it
sure
really does
all
because
eyes on him.
I mean, Coach Hugh Freeze and the Auburn Tigers this season, unless things fall apart, are going to be 4-1 at worst in those first 5 games, right? Like that's the expectation is of the first 5 games, first month of the season, you're going to win 4 of those, right? I don't know what the expectation is around Alabama, but if it doesn't start well for them in the tenure of the new head coach, that's more ominous for their program than I think it needs to be for a new
Right.
head coach that's already on shaky ground in the state as far as recruiting is concerned with the top end of the state. Now they're still getting recruits from the
Hmm.
state of Alabama. Let me not pretend like Bama's doing nothing, but that could be that could be detrimental really quickly for them if
Yeah,
they don't start well.
I,
And I'm not
I,
But
looking at their
it's
schedule, but
because
like
he
it
was
could go
handed a
bad fast.
Ferrari, right, of a program.
Right. And if you scratch it or wreck it out the gate, everybody's gonna be like, yeah,
yeah,
no,
like,
he's not
look,
the guy.
man, for DeBoer,
And when I say bad, that doesn't even mean losing games. It just means not dominant. Like they need to go out there and look like, oh, it was just a relay race and you passed it to another guy who's going to further the lead that you already have. If they look shaky out the gate starting this season, it could get bad for them.
yeah, I just think that Bama is having to drop major dollars now, and the last coach essentially retired because he said he didn't want to do that. He didn't want to recruit
Right.
that way. So it's
Mhm.
not DeBoer's system that they're selling. It's money over there right now, at least, because he
Right.
hasn't done crap in the SEC yet. So
Yeah.
you had an
Yeah.
exodus of players that committed to Saban when he got hired. Now they did a good job, re-recruiting and doing some things there, but clearly for the guys who were recruited the way Saban did the recruiting, it meant something. I just don't like to Ike's point. If it doesn't look great out of the gate, you're gonna have to either be dropping a lot of bags, and some of them 5 stars. I think you see them reconsider whether to go to Alabama because if you're a 5 star, the bag is going to be pretty good everywhere you decide to go.
Yeah.
At all the big
Yeah.
schools, they're gonna have a bag waiting on you.
For full episodes, check out the Midweek Rapport, going live on the War Report's YouTube channel at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time Wednesday nights. Until the next time, War Eagle.